Saying it should be going. It's not going right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna use this instead.
Hey guys, hope you're having a great week.
All right, let's do this. Good morning, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hey Robert, can you let me know if this is working on your end? I am not seeing any picture on my Instagram Live. Good morning. I'm not sure if I can see you all. I am not 1/4 computer like Robert is. Robert, can you tell me in the comments if this is working on Instagram Live? Because I am not seeing a picture. Let's try that. Hi, there we go. Good morning. How is everybody? Sorry, I was having some technical issues there for a moment. That's way too bright. I'm not gonna use that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Sorry, I was real excited. I'm so glad to be with you all this morning. So, good morning. How is everybody? I hope these 21 days of prayer and fasting have been just an incredible time with God and getting to know Him and growing closer to Him. So this morning, I wanted to start by sharing a little piece of my story with you. I did not grow up in church. Our family said that we believed in God, but we never really talked about Him. We would go to church on Easter when my grandparents were in town. So growing up, I wasn't opposed to God, but I really just didn't think about Him. He wasn't part of my life. But I remember when that started to change. Brad and I had been married for 6 months when we went to my parents' house for Christmas. And I vividly remember sitting on the couch, looking around at my incredible family, looking at my new adoring husband. And I thought to myself, how lucky am I? But I sat there and I felt empty. I felt this deep emptiness that I had never experienced before. And I was really confused by it because I had everything I had ever wanted. Well, we wrapped up that Christmas and went back to our life in Charlotte. But this feeling of emptiness only increased. And along with it, feelings of frustration and confusion increased as well because I wasn't able to identify what was happening. But through a series of God-ordained events, Brad and I ended up at church one morning. And this was the beginning of my journey in following Jesus. Well, fast forward a couple of years, and Brad and I decided that we were ready to have children. Well, a couple of more years go by, and still no kids. But then the day came when we found out I was pregnant. And we were so excited. And we would play this silly game when the sun would set We would look at the sunset, and based on the ratio of pink or blue in the sky, we would guess if we were going to be having a boy or a girl. But in my first trimester, I had a miscarriage. And I remember laying in bed with my Bible open, praying, asking God for a miracle, asking for his presence, asking for him to speak. But I only felt silence. You see, at this point in my walk with God, I was reading the Bible consistently. I had learned to hear the voice of God. I talked to him on a regular basis. But this day, I was only met with silence. And the days that followed, I was sad and disappointed about losing the baby. But I was really mad that God seemed to go silent on me. It felt like he was giving me the silent treatment. And so I did the really mature thing and decided to give him the silent treatment back. I did it. I did not pray. I did not talk to him. I did not open my Bible. But a couple of weeks later, I sat on my best friend's couch, and she looked at me and said, "Can I pray for you?" And she started praying out loud, and the words that came out of her mouth were not her own. They were straight from God. They were the exact words I needed to hear in that moment. And here's the thing about following God. Sometimes we can only see him working in hindsight. It's like we get to see him in the rearview mirror. But when we're in the middle of it, sometimes it's hard to see what he's doing. Now, in hindsight, looking back, I see that God wasn't silent. He was showing up for me in a new way. He was using people to reveal himself to me because he knew I needed a tangible presence. He knew I needed a physical hug. He knew I needed to hear a reassuring voice in those moments. And in that season, God also used my husband. At any given moment, if you were to ask me, what do you need? I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I didn't know what I needed. I just knew that it was hurting. But time and time again in that season, Brad would say or do the exact thing I needed at the exact moment I needed it. Because God knew I needed a physical hand to hold. He knew I needed to sit in my husband's lap and weep and mourn. And what I realized, looking back in hindsight, is that God never left me. And he has never left you either. My sister-in-law, Crystal, is one of my favorite human beings on the planet. And she always says, if your kids are having a meltdown and they are giving you their absolute worst behavior, take it as a compliment. It is because you are their safe place. And I love that because when I gave God the silent treatment, it's because he was my safe place. I still believed him. I still knew he was God, and I knew I would talk to him again, but I was mad. But I love that even in my young faith and through my immature response, that I had the confidence to be honest with him because I knew he was a good dad. I had a temper tantrum and I gave him the silent treatment because he was my safe person. So a few things I hope you can take away from my story is this. The first is be honest with God in your prayers. He knows how you really feel anyways. If you're mad, you might as well tell him you're mad. If you're scared, frustrated, confused, disappointed, tell him. Yesterday in my reading plan, I read this passage and I just saw the heart of God in it. It's from the book of Hosea. It's chapter 6, verses 6. I want you to show love, not offer sacrifices. I want you to know me more than I want burnt offerings. Like, that is the heart of God. That is the heart of the Father. I want you to know me. Who are your best friends? Who are the people you feel most connected with? I bet they're the people that are real and honest and vulnerable with you. I bet the people you feel most connected with are the people that are brave enough to show up and be the person that God made them to be. You can be honest with God. In Matthew chapter 7, we find a really challenging passage. In verse 21, Jesus says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name drive out demons, and in your name perform many miracles?' Then I will tell them, 'I never knew you.'" Jesus wants to know you. God does not want religion. He wants relationship. He doesn't want your perfection. He wants your heart. You can be honest with God. And the second thing I hope you get to take away from this morning is you can be mad and frustrated at God, but don't stay there. When we let our heart become so numb, when we let our heart become too hard and we start to numb, when we shut our heart down too many times in order to protect it out of fear of being disappointed again, we start to shut down from the really good things as well. Isaiah chapter 55, verses 8 through 9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." When you aren't mad or frustrated, ask God for understanding. But if He doesn't give you the answer you're looking for, ask for the grace to accept that His ways are higher than ours, and trust that He is still good and He is still trustworthy, even when we don't understand. And finally, don't try to do this life alone. Culture has bought into this lie that we're supposed to be independent and self-sufficient, but that is not how God created us. At the very beginning of time, God looked at Adam and said, "It is not good for you to be alone. I will make you a partner." We need each other. There are times when we are going to be exhausted and we can't pray the prayers anymore, and we need the church to gather around and stand in the gap and pray on our behalf. And this morning, we talked about a lot of life's challenges, but there are so many good things as well. We also get to rejoice and celebrate together and praise and worship who God is. We get to bring our hearts together in thanksgiving and celebrate all that God has done. It is so much better to do things together. I wish I had 15 more minutes to talk to you about all of the good things, but just know everything is better together. When my friend prayed for me on her couch that day, it was the first time I had experienced God speaking through a person in such a tangible way. And since then, He has done it time and time again. I have friends that have spoken life over me. They have prayed over me. They have given me words of hope and vision and purpose. And because I know firsthand the gift of receiving those words, I want to give them to others as often as I possibly can. because I know firsthand the impact and power someone else's prayers can have over a life. So I want to leave you this morning with a challenge. I want you to be honest with God. Try not to stay mad. Bring people around you. Don't do this on your own. And you are in luck because tomorrow morning we are having a prayer service at 9 a.m. at Seacoast Church. And if you live in the area, you are invited, and we would love for you to join us. It is going to be an incredible morning. So, with that, I'm going to pray to close this out. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this morning. Thank you for prayer. Thank you for Jesus, that you stepped in so we could have this close relationship with you. God, I ask that you would stir hearts this morning, that you would stir honest prayers, that you would take us deeper into relationship with you, that this morning's words would go out and would not return void, but that they would plant seeds and you would multiply and bring and stir up big faith within our church community. God, thank you for the gathering. Thank you for our incredible church leadership. I ask that you go before them and you lead the way and that you bless them. Father, you are so good. Give us eyes to see you. Show us who you are. Reveal your character so that we can get to know you more. And I ask for the discernment to hear your voice. Grow us in having a sensitive ear to hear when you speak, and give us the confidence to receive your words. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Bye.